So you've never played a Warriors game before. What? Really? I don't believe you! According to a recent report from NASA, there are an estimated 6 billion games in the franchise alone. That's about 4 for every one household. So the likelihood that you've never played one before is a mathematical impossibility, which means you're either a stone-cold liar or your memory was affected by the aluminum-laced milk epidemic of 2016. But okay, fine, I'll play along. Somehow you've never played a Dynasty Warriors game before, and with Part 9 just released, you might be considering taking the plunge into ancient China. Well, I've spent about 10 hours with the game, and maybe, just maybe, I can help you decide. And maybe I can help you get a great deal on a mortgage. Part 1. Muso Crazy. To really understand the Warriors series, you need to learn 2 things. The first being the developer Omega Force, and the other being its genre known as Muso, which essentially is a mashup of arcade-style beat-em-ups and hack-and-slash, all taking place on a large battlefield where each action has an effect on the army's morale and progress. This has pretty much been set in stone since Muso first debuted in Dynasty Warriors 2, which is known as Shin Sengoku Muso in Japan. I know what you're thinking, what happened to the first Dynasty Warriors? Well, that's known as Sangoku Muso, a PS1 fighting game featuring the same characters but has no long-term relation to the rest of the series. So the brand new Dynasty Warriors 9 is actually Shin Sengoku Muso 8 in Japan. Are you still with me? And since the year 2000, Omega Force is primarily focused on sequels and spin-offs to their most popular franchise. Some, such as the surprisingly excellent One Piece Pirate Warriors, are nearly identical to Dynasty Warriors, while others, like the more strategy-centric Blade Storm, drastically alter the formula. And then there's that one where you fight the giant ants in the city. Wait, nope, never mind, that game's not real. The point is, there's a lot of these games. I'm talking sequels of sequels. And frankly, there's a good reason why it's still going strong after 18 years. Because Part 2, an easy choice. How many times has this happened to you? You're looking at a shelf full of games, some of which you never played before, and you still have no idea what to play! What's going on here? Video games are supposed to be entertaining, and yet starting a new one can be intimidating. Bam! Here comes Dynasty Warriors. You know exactly what you're getting into, mostly because it's more of the same. I know that sounds like a backhanded compliment, but if you're a fan, you know what I mean. It's a game that is slowly, ever so slowly evolved over the past 2 decades. The premise itself is really simple. You're an insanely powerful warrior turning back the tide of battle one objective and base at a time, defeating hundreds and thousands of soldiers with a mix of light attacks punctuated by heavy strikes and powerful meter-burning combos. Now at first this might appear to be tedious, but believe it or not, most of these enemies are just for show. The real focus is on their leaders. Knock them out, and the rest of the soldiers will quickly disappear. And yes, I keep saying knockout because there's no killing in Dynasty Warriors. But there is this. They didn't see that coming. Eventually you work your way up to the final boss as a wave of allies proceed to the final battle. Even all these years later, hearing the triumphant screams and blaring heavy metal butt rock is still quite evocative. And this really hasn't evolved all that much from game to game, but that's what makes it so reliable. A collection of individual stages chock full of flashy attacks, over-the-top bad voice acting, shredding guitars. They can all be played in 30-minute chunks. Part of the Dynasty Warriors charm is that it never, ever changes. Part 3. Dynasty Warriors has changed. Okay, there have been slight mechanical adjustments to Dynasty Warriors in the past, the most significant being the Empire sub-series, which injects a resource management metagame. But Part 9 is far and away the most drastic expansion of the entire Muso catalog. First of all, the stages and modes are gone, just gone. Now it's all story all day, and it's all inside a vast open world. The fan reception to this has been mixed to say the least. Like I said, people come to the series expecting a recognizable experience, and this, well, isn't. RPG systems are pushed to the forefront, encouraging crafting and preparation before the next event, all of which begins by collecting minerals and plants. A fishing minigame, yes really, a fishing minigame, and hunting areas have now been added. And finally there are side quests, which are mostly repackaging of the previously named activities. And yes, it's incredibly weird to wander around gigantic friendly towns and cities. It just doesn't feel natural. But being different is no excuse to dismiss these new ideas. Stepping back and looking at what Omega Force is attempting to do, there's a lot of potential, which is largely unrealized. The fact is, traveling through the gigantic open world just isn't all that fun. You can even set it so the horse automatically follows a path, and even that doesn't work. There's just something about the whoa, did I just go through a wall? Yeah, the game is still kind of janky. What I was trying to say is, patience has never been a necessary factor for enjoying Dynasty Warriors. Now it is. And none of it pays off. Personally speaking, I love open world games. I love side activities. I love hunting down and taking over bases, but not in this game. Sure, there's a lot to do, but without unique rewards or challenge, it just kind of feels like busy work. And that's the real problem here. It's more of the same, but with a lot more work. Notice I didn't say difficult. It just demands more of your time, collecting stupid objects and strolling through a boring wasteland of a world, and a really odd chapter selection system that discourages character experimentation. Even the story, which as always is a retelling of the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, a 14th century epic that dramatizes the competing warlords of China, one of the most celebrated stories ever written, even that feels so much more drawn out in these long talking sequences. Nothing feels improved. It just feels slower. Part 4. Where should I start? The most common question. Well, it's actually pretty easy. Don't start with Dynasty Warriors 9. I wouldn't call it a bad game, but it's certainly unrefined. If you're into anime, One Piece is amazing. If you're looking for something more traditional, I'd say Samurai Warriors 4 or 4-2 will have you covered. And if you're on the Nintendo Switch, Hyrule Warriors and Fire Emblem Warriors will more or less give you the exact same experience. Just a heads up, avoid Warriors Orochi 3. And I hate to say it, but Dynasty Warriors 8 wasn't all that great either. I know, it's kind of weird that I'm not recommending the 2 most recent entries in the core franchise. But that's the nice thing about Musou. There's such an overabundance of games, you don't need to waste your time with lesser titles. Yes, Dynasty Warriors 9 is a major disappointment. It tried something new, which should always be encouraged. It just didn't work. I'm confident Omega Force will seriously consider the critical feedback and give it another shot in the near future. I mean, they already have the battle sections. Why not let users pick between the open world and a more streamlined level-based version? And maybe do something about this frame rate. It's not great. And hopefully this has given you some insight and encouraged you to check out the Musou games. Because even though they're usually more of the same, there's nothing else quite like them. But if I can get you back to the real topic, what we've got here is a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom townhouse with a basement that's just, it's a real charmer. Now, there are some issues with the plumbing. This home was built in 1964 after all, and it will require regular upkeep. But we can offer you a generous $800 a month mortgage over 30 years. Okay, bye.